Episode number 152 of Making a Case. The Deion Effect. I know you want to know what that is. Come on over. Hey, what up, YouTube? We back at you with another episode of Making a Case, episode number 152. Hey, I'm your host, Dr. Jacob Isom. We got two channel norms over here. One, we'll take points in our people, and then two, we don't do all that cussing derogatory stuff because we like to keep it professional. Okay. First of all, before we get any further, I would like to say please be careful. Of course, we're in a winter storm and it's affecting a lot of parts of the United States right now. I heard about the car pileup in Michigan and then the power outage in Texas. So wherever you are, please be safe, be careful. If you don't have to go out the house, which most of us don't, please stay indoors and be safe. Okay. All right. Now that we got that out the way, so for this episode, we're talking about the Deion effect. Now, I know you might be wondering, what is the Deion effect, Dr. Isom? Well, let's explain it. Okay. Well, I call this the Deion effect, and what I mean by this is I'm talking about the very in your face, the brass, the confident, the unapologetically honest conversation or personality that people may have. Now, many of you are familiar with Deion Sanders, the Hall of Famer, the multiple time Pro Bowler, the multiple sport player, right? Deion Sanders, that guy. He's very unapologetic, right? And what makes it even more interesting, he's doing this all with a Christian conviction, right? So religion is huge for him, right? But even with that said, he still gets a lot of backlash, right? For his persona, his confidence, his personality, right? But the one thing that I love about it is that, hey, he's going to be him. He's unapologetic. It served him well in his career, and it served him well post career, going into coaching and things of that nature. Now, when he was a player, he get attacked for the same personality, and now even being a coach, he's still getting attacked. But one thing that I love, he's unwavering and he's still successful. Now, it's a little iffy with the coaching, but as a player, undeniable talent, right? I mean, you can't say anything about his playing career. So what we often see, and the reason why I call this the Deion effect is what we often see people who have this brash in your face, unapologetic personality. I'm gonna do me. Um, Cocky versus confident, which the video we have is going to be explaining the difference. Those people are often looked at as, narcissistic and things of that nature, which is crazy because, of course, we abuse the word narcissistic. Only 10% of Americans are considered, quote unquote, narcissistic. And if you want to extrapolate that out for the world, maybe you can get to 18%, 20%. Still, a majority of people are not, right? Now, do people have narcissistic tendencies? Absolutely, right? But a narcissist is very extreme. Okay, maybe I need to do a video on narcissism one day. If you'd like to see that, just comment, hit me up, let me know. So the video I have today, we're going to be talking about the difference between confident and cocky, right? Because I do believe there's a thin line. So, and why people that are considered confident or cocky are kind of looked down upon, or not looked at as favorable. It's almost like they want you to be not confident. I'll never understand it. All right. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the video and let's break it down.
One of the best traits that you could have in your life, but being a cocky person is one of the worst traits that you can have in your life. And there is a fine line between being cocky and being confident. And in this video, we are going to discuss the major differences between these two traits. Confidence comes from a very authentic and whole place. Cockiness is not authentic, and it's based in insecurity. It's more about making other people think that you're confident as opposed to actually just being confident, which is why cockiness cocky people tend to talk a lot. A common trait that a lot of cocky people exhibit is being overly loud in certain social situations.
Now, I know I stopped it early, but I don't necessarily agree with that. I think confident people, such as Deion Sanders, he is loud, right? He's very expressive, right? But I think cocky people can be as well. So there is that thin line, right? When we talk about confident and confident. And let's just be honest, it's very subjective, right? Because in certain social situations, well, of course, I teach and speak for a living, so I'm going to be loud, right? I do consider myself a confidence person. Have some people confuse it for cockiness? Absolutely, but I think it has more so to do with the insecurities in that person or how they view how someone should be acting, right? And I think that's a lot of the backlash that people with confidence get, right? Because they're not as confident, they look at that as being cocky, if that makes sense. All right, let's get back into it.
When someone disagrees with a cocky person, they will try and overpower and intimidate them by being loud, with the hopes that the other person will simply submit to them. The reason why this happens is because the cocky person is not comfortable with the idea of being wrong, and they are not open to new ideas. Because of this mindset, it's very difficult for a cocky person to grow and learn. Also, cocky people tend to make more mistakes, and they will start getting a little sloppy because of their overconfidence and lack of humility. Another very common trait of cocky people is not giving other people the credit they deserve. When a confident and humble person accepts an award, they will almost always acknowledge the people that helped them get there. A great example of a very arrogant person is Kanye West. If you have ever watched him accept an award, you will see that he takes all of the credit and he never acknowledges anyone else. This is because he wants.
And I think they're confusing, but and you probably can throw cockiness into the mix of narcissists. Clearly, we know that Kanye West is a narcissist, right? So that's what he's really talking about. And I think how they explain and being cocky, what I hear so far is they're talking about a lot of narcissistic traits, right? Which some of that can be borderline for a very confident person, right? So let's continue, see what else they got to say.
Everybody else to think that he did everything himself. Confident people do not have an inflated view of themselves. In fact, they will feel bad if they didn't acknowledge the people that helped them reach their goal. Another big difference between being cocky and confidence is that cocky people never like to acknowledge their weaknesses. A great example of this is when a cocky person is incorrect about something. They will tell themselves stories rationalizing why they thought the way they did, and they will often find someone else to blame instead of just admitting when they are wrong. Confident people do not need to do this because they know it's okay if they are wrong, and they know that being wrong will not reduce their self-worth or their value to the other people around them. When you are confident, you can evaluate your own skills and self-worth honestly. You can say to yourself, I need to improve in this area, and you will put the work in order to improve. Of course, you have opinions on certain topics, but you are always open to the opinions of others. Getting another person's opinion will either strengthen your own belief or make you change your own opinions into one that is more correct. It's a win-win situation, and cocky people do not think like this. Confidence is not something that you just get overnight. It's something that you have to cultivate over time by pushing yourself to go outside of your comfort zone. If the idea of approaching someone during the day is terrifying, then you should do it. If the idea of asking someone on the street what time it is, then you should do it. You cannot think your way to confidence, you have to feel your way there. In the words of the great American philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson, may you always do the thing you are afraid to do. Subscribe.
I do agree with the later part of the video. I do think that um, most people, if not all people, confidence comes from the work that they put in, the time that they put in, over time they develop skills and become the person who they are through hard work and preservation and resilience and things like that. So of course, over time you develop, a certain area of yourself, right? Now, can it get to a point where it might get a little egotistical? Absolutely. We all got an ego, and I myself make sure that I'm very aware of my ego. And I think cockiness can sometimes come from a level of self-inflated ego, or you can actually believe in yourself too much and actually not be that, right? So cockiness can be sort of a situation where you can get deflated real quick if somebody call you out on it. And that's what I think why it leads to that tendency of narcissism. Because like, and even with narcissistic tendency, a lot of times they are extremely successful people, but they're extremely selfish people, right? So they believe too much in their talent and don't understand that people actually help get them to where they are, right? All right, so that's the video for today. Let me know what you think about the Deion effect, right? You know, is it okay for people to be confident and not cocky? Even though there's a thin line there, tell me what you think. All right. But as always, man, you know I appreciate you. I am you, you are me. Love always, love return. Remember, the worst thing you can do is lie to yourself. And we out. Deuces. I love it.